Okay, I don't know if anybody's watching. I got a late start today, but if you are, here's what I'm gonna do today. Today I'm gonna go kind of how to manage a project. And so I haven't done much of this, but I'm gonna do it now where I have some things I want to implement, and I want to show you kind of how you would do that from a project management perspective. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to log into my visualstudio.com account, and yeah, it looks like I got to sign in. Okay, so yeah, network went down for just a split second there. Very good. Okay, so I'm logged in now. So this is the new dashboard from Microsoft called the Azure DevOps, and notice we've got a project here for spearsoft.games.dicey. And we've got a list of boards. These are like Kanban boards or something like that. And and you can do things like set up, you can set up releases and things like that. So this case, I've got this board. You notice I can view it as a backlog, which is just a list. Or back to this board view, you can set up sprints. Right now I don't have a sprint, so anyway, this is a kind of cool tool. Just come out from Microsoft, and I really like it. So for this project I'm working on, this Dicey game, there's nothing really done here. If I go to work items, there's no work items. So I am going to actually try to figure this out. And oops, I just remembered I've got to make sure that everything that I do, I can see this chat window in case any of y'all hit me up with chat. So to be honest, I'm going to be trying to figure this out. So I haven't really done this. I can set up a new work item, but I'm actually wondering if I can set up a sprint. So task board, there's the backlog. There's capacity. So let me see if I plan this plant. So it looks like I do have like an iteration planned. That's okay. Okay, so I will add a new work item. So what I want to do is add some business rules to my Dicey game that will allow me to better manage the navigation within the game, because it's a little tricky. So, and I've got a Yahtzee game here pulled up. Let me show you this, just so you can see it a little better. So I've got a Yahtzee game pulled up. This is 5 dice. I've mentioned it before. So anyway, so this will help me kind of figure out the rules that I want. So so I'm going to add a user story, and here's the first user story. And I'm not going to be real technical. User stories can have a lot of different components, but I'm going to keep this simple because the problem I'm trying to solve is pretty simple. So first user story is let me think. So if user has rolled 3 times, then the turn or the round is done. Round is done for that user. Okay. And then how about this? If user applies current hand to current set of dice to a hand, user's round is over. Let's see what else there is. Let's see. If user unapplies current set of dice to a hand, then user's hand is not over, user's round is not over unless there have been 3 rolls. I'll choose the same, unless the user okay. Let's see, and then let's see, that's okay. The round is over for all users. No, the round is over for the game when the round is over for all users. Let me see if there's something else. All right, so let's see what that did to our board. So it added these items. So this is a kind of project management board. I don't know if I call it a Kanban board. You can manage, you can put all kinds of different columns here, and it has swim lanes. Although it's interesting, I'm not seeing swim lanes for these, but it's interesting. So when I click on any of these, I can edit it. I can move it to a different iteration. Right now it's in iteration 1, but now notice here's a pretty cool feature. I can now subdivide that into tasks. So, let me do that now. Talk to me, baby. Okay, you notice I can click on it and it opens up the task, and then I can do, other cool stuff here, like I can link it to stuff. When I do development work and check it in, then that will show up here on the development node here, whatever you want to call that. Notice I can assign story points, so if you want to do sprint planning, you can assign story points, and then you can limit your number of story points for a sprint, all kinds of stuff. So here I can add a description too. So I actually kind of am describing it here, but just to show you that you can do it. And I'll go ahead and add this description to each of these. So this, to me, this is a really nice tool that Microsoft has put out there. I don't really have anything to compare it to, but I like it. Okay, so if I want to start working on one, then I can put it over into an active, and again, I think these columns of the board can be changed, but I'm not going to do that right now. So you can work on it, then you can move it here, and you can close it, I think, after you're done. So anyway, that's how you work on that. Again, so you got a backlog view and a board view. This is just a list, I think, of all the work items. Interesting. I'm not sure why this is only showing this one, but so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how you kind of translate these into unit tests. So this is a user story. So let's say I'm going to work on this one. So now what I would do is I pick that up and then I would switch to my project. Whoops, let's see. Okay, and then the ideal way to do this is I would go into my tests. So in this case, I'm going to call this a game test. Okay, so and it's nice you can actually name your tests somewhat after the user story. So this test could actually be your player too. Let me think about that. Yeah, actually, one of these is game related. One of these user stories is game related. So let me. Okay. So I'll do one game related one. And I'll say that the kind of game, this is game, not navigation, game flow, when all users finish game round is over. I'm not sure I like that name. That's too long. Game flow. I'm going to call it all users done. All users round completed. Game round completed. So that's a pretty good name for a. Whoops. All right. Excellent. So for now, I'll just, and I think I've said before, I'll say it again, you want to do arrange, act, assert. And anyway, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm actually going to just assert, so if this will pass for now. Assert dot is true and true. There we go. So this test, needless to say, will pass. But I actually want to go do the other ones first because they are more, to me, more relevant. I mean, I just want to do them first. So what kind of, now this is interesting. I don't even have a project, excuse me, so these are player tests. So I'm going to add a new class. I can use the key, the Alt, Enter, Resharper. Wrong. Alt Insert is what I meant to say. Alt Insert. Wait, now I gotta select it again. Yeah. I can do Alt Insert, and I can do a class, and I'm gonna call this Player Tests. And I'm gonna switch to this. I can go ahead and just add this stuff. And yeah. So again, I'm going to add a test. I'm going to call it player. Let's go back to my. There we go. So if your users roll 3 times, then the round is done. Player, user, has rolled User, okay, user rolled 3 times. Round completed. Oh, public void. Yeah, that's a little better. Come on now. Public void, there you go. This is a test. Now I have to add a boolean. Oh, no, I don't. If I add the class, add something to the class, but all right. So all right, so in this case, the way if you do pure TDD, and I don't do TDD in any job I've ever had, so I don't want to sound like I'm an expert, but you would technically write your test, and I'm going to go ahead and put the assert here, dot is true, and for now I'll do true, but obviously I'm going to change that in a minute. So the arrange is I want to create a player instant. Well, let me think. This is actually where it'd be helpful just to grab some of the, see, maybe there's some other tests where I'm already setting up players. Yeah, let's see. And I could, it looks like you can't, I could just use the default setup here. Yeah, I could just do this. Oh, wait, that's what I'm doing. Okay, so yeah, I'm getting it. Yeah, okay, cool. So, so anyway, and then, so this is a kind of a thing where I kind of started thinking about, you know, in the game, a player rolls the dice. So I added a player.do roll dice. But yeah, it's an event though. I've already got some properties here. I actually now want to think about this. It was kind of all working before when I just made the game. I gave the game the ability to roll. Player.roll dice. Yeah, I had put in these events, and I might do this eventually, but I really don't want to do it right now. So anyway, so back to my player tests. So I'm going to have player.roll. Oh, why is that not showing up? Oh, I made it static. That's why. So, does not do that for now. And in fact, for now, I'm going to keep this simple. And this API, I'll probably work on it some more later, but okay, so I'm going to actually do, oh yeah, wait, that's right. Yeah. We do actually want to pass that in. Okay, and yeah, the reason we want to pass that in is because I've got the dice in a basically global variable, but that's actually in the UI, so that's okay. Player tests. Okay, so all right, so in the game, okay, I got to go back to my. I'm got to figure out how have I been rolling the. Okay, so yeah, so I was messing with this. So I've got it in globals. Player not roll dice. So I've actually got to set this up as part of the range. So yeah, that's okay. Yeah. I'm doing my 3 rolls. Oh, this will go under act. I guess it's easier to move this. All right. One day I'll learn to type. And then I'm going to assert that. I think I'm going to use a property. Roll can. So roll dice roll. Count. Do roll dice. So there's some properties, but I want to actually say round completed. So I let ReSharper create this property for me. And so there we go. So if we run this test, it's going to fail. Test Explorer. Save, build. And I'm going to have one test under player tests. Yeah, it failed. So this case now I need to make it so it's true. So okay. And how do I do that? So what I can do is I can break this out to property with a backing field. And then I can increment a counter. And let me see. Yeah, I've already got the counter dice roll count. So, roll dice. sure. Probably the game itself has a max. Let's see if I've got that somewhere. Max rolls per round. That's a function of the game. And so one thing I want to avoid is making the player dependent on the game. That's kind of making the child object dependent on the parent. There are ways that can do that. In fact, this is one way you can do it, is by setting up events. I'll probably do that eventually, but for now I don't want to do that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to create a private constant. Max roll count equals 3. And then this round completed really is this is actually there's no setter. That all happens within this thing. And what we want to do is return the expression. Oh, whoops. I need to get rid of that. Don't need that. So, return, it's that simple. This does definitely not need to be. That question mark means this is a nullable field. It's normally not a nullable field. It's a simple type, but you can make any type nullable. So in this case, we're just going to return that. So we're fine with that's fine. Why is that? Yeah, I don't like that. All right. What does that mean? Okay, that's a new way in C# to actually express values. It's using I have a block, mental block about that. What that's called is called anyway. I prefer this kind of old style right here. So let's see if this works now. This test should pass, I think. It did. Okay. So, but here now there's this whole thing about do you let's see if it'll pass again. It may not. No, if it doesn't, I don't know. Okay, good. So the reason there's this whole thing. What if I want to test other things? Like, actually, we'll do another test. But the question is, when you're unit testing, I'm just going to show you this, and then I'm going to undo it. So here, that assert should prove false, and the whole thing should exit. And it's false, right? So in this case, though, I could assert that is false, right? And now this test will pass. Okay, and then I could do the same thing after this roll. Whoops. Okay. Okay. I think it ran. Let's see if it did. Run selected test. Okay. I think it did. Now, here's the problem. A lot of people tell you that, or a lot of people say you shouldn't do more than one assert in a test. This is kind of nice in the sense of I'm basically testing 3 scenarios with one test. I think it's okay, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do instead of this. One thing you can't do is split your arrange, act, and assert. I'm having to assert after each act. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of a couple of these things. All right, and then what I'm going to do is copy this test. And then I'm going to do user rolled less than, I'm do less than 3 times. Round is not completed. So in this case, we know this is going to work, but in this case, we're going to test. I could probably find a way of doing one assert for all 3 of these, but in this case, I'm going to do, so I'm basically saying it's another way of doing the same thing. F6. Okay, good. So if you see, I'm kind of mapping the round, this, in this case, these tests to the use cases. So that's good. Let's go to the next one. So, okay, let's put that there. If user. Okay, so we're going to do this one next. If user applies the current set of dice to hand, user's round is over. So once again, we're going to do a test. I'm going to just copy and paste. This is a condition where the round is completed, and then user player has applied hand round completed. So in this case, the act is player dot. Wait, I'm a little rusty. I can't remember exactly how to apply the hand. I've got that here. I'll go ahead and fix this for now. Globals dot game dot players. Let me think. That's probably not exactly right, but at least it'll run when I try to run it. So let me think. How do I do that? Set up the game card. The thing I'm trying to remember is how do I apply the hand? I've already written code to do this, but okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to run it. Just, whoops, change the. Just want to make sure this is still working. Yeah, So I've already done some stuff where it's kind of applying the hand, so I just gotta figure that out. So here it is, select hand. So this, in this case, here's the kind of logic we want. We don't have a Gophers, but we do have a game. And ooh, we don't have any setup for this. So we're passing in a name of a hand. In this case, we'll just choose any hand. Let's just say okay, good. So aces. So we're playing a hand. And let me see if I'm doing that right. I'm selecting a hand. I believe that let me see. So when I select the hand, the turn should be over. Let me verify that. So I'm gonna roll, I'm gonna select the hand. Yeah. So basically when I select the hand, the turn should be over. And it's not applied hand, it's actually has selected hand. So in this case, player, the round is completed. And in this case, it should be true. F6 and okay, and it was not true. And so now we need to make it so that it is true. Current player. And actually, there might be some setup. I'm doing some setup. Let me see the setup I'm doing. Setup game card. Yes, I believe that there are no. I'm gonna actually debug this because I'm pretty sure that I have to set up the game card. Let me make sure let me make sure that so I can debug this test. And then I can go hover over this puppy. Oh, and there are 14 hands set up for it. So I do have that working automatically. So that's good. So if I step through that, okay, good. So yeah, so yeah. Okay, excellent. So yeah, so this is ready to get it to work. So what I'm doing is I'm running in this case, now, this is a little tricky because technically the game card has done something and it needs to let basically the player needs to be marked as completed. So this is where an event can be helpful. So there's several ways you could do this. You could create a property, and I'm going to show you this, and I'll not do it, but you could create a property, and the property could be of type player, and the name of it could be parent. All right, in some ways this is the easiest way to do it, and the point is that you could then set this somewhere, like even maybe in the constructor. So where is the constructor for this guy? Yeah, so initials game card 12. You could actually, yeah, so you could actually pass, you could pass in a game card, and you could pass in a player when you initialize the game card, and then make that player set basically. I'll just show you. Let's do and so you could do and parent equals player. So that way you have a reference to that player, and so the beauty of that is when I apply the hand, I could do this. I could do parent dot round completed equals true. Now, oops. Oh, that's right. Remember, if you recall, we set that so that it's read-only. So, and it's to the point, in my opinion, there's several problems with this. I could get this to work. One of the problems with it, I'm curious if anybody's listening or if I'm just talking to the air. Let's see if anybody's here. Yeah. Okay. Welcome. Looks like a couple of people here. So one problem with this is that I've already seen one. I want to encapsulate this round completed. So I want the player object to control whether the player round is completed. But you know, of course, I could get this to work. I could go to the round completed property and put a setter on there. But I don't want to do that. I want the player to be in control. So let's see. Yeah. So I'm getting rid of this whole thing here. There is another way that this can be done, and I'm actually wondering if I've kind of done this already. What is that? Oh, it's telling me. Okay, that's pretty cool. It's telling me where that was coming from. What test is entering that code block. That's pretty neat. So there's another way that can do this, and you can do it with events. And events are great because they're kind of a very low key, it's a great way of creating connections between two objects, but without creating, and that's the other problem with the way I was showing you, is then I've created a dependency between player and the game card. And you say, well, there's already one, but not really. The game card sure is a child of the player, but the game card did not really have any need to know what the player was. And so by doing what I just did, I'm creating a dependency on the player inside the child object. So that's a downside to using that whole idea of a parent. So what can we do instead? So what we can do instead is we can create an event as part of this class. So, and I do not do this all the time. I think I actually did this somewhere and then commented it out. So let me just make sure I do this right. So yeah, so I'm going back to the game card. And I'm going to create an event, and this event is the event is hand was selected. Hand is selected. Okay. And interestingly, you could chain the events, but I'm not going to do that. Not now. I might do it later if I find I need to. So I'm going to create some new event args for this. So I'm going to create game card selected event args. Now that doesn't exist. So let me get the spelling right. Okay, great. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use ReSharper to create this type. And I'm going to inherit from event args. Let me see how I did that. Okay, so yeah, I did inherit from event order, so I don't know why it doesn't let me do that. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm in game card. Forgot. So I was using the pipe. That's not going to work. All right, good. So there's a constructor. Now, one reason you may want to create a constructor is you can create in this. It's a custom event arg, so you could create properties that can get read by the event and blah blah blah. In this case, you can also use it as kind of a marker event, saying, "Hey, something happened," and not pass any state back up to the other object. And that is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to leave the constructor there because I may come back and change this, and there's no harm in having it. So that's good. So the other thing is this game. So that's the first thing you do is you can create this event. Usually when you do this, you want to create a something that will actually invoke the event. So in the normal way of doing that is you take whatever the event was called, you call it on whatever, you pass in the matching arguments, and then you invoke it. And so let's do that next. In this case, okay, game and then game card. let's see, on okay, public void. Oh yeah, I forgot. Let me show you this. So in this case, I can use ReSharper to create the event invocator. And I forgot that I can do that. So yeah, I don't need it. You don't need to write this if you have ReSharper. I liked it to be. I like the invocation to be up near the declaration of the event. Okay, so let's deconstruct this a little bit. The on game card selected is passing in game card selected event args, which we created before. It's just basically it's a inherited version of event args with no changes, but again, we could change that. Now, this syntax here is checking for, is this null? So an event is, okay, a delegate in C# is a pointer to a function or method. It's a pointer to a method. An event is what's called a multicast delegate. So you can actually have multiple things pointing to the same delegate with a multicast delegate. So that's what an event is. It's a kind of special delegate. It's an event handler and it's baked in and all that. So what this is checking for, if this was like this, it was telling me, C#'s telling me, hey, there's a problem with this. Let's see what it says. It says check expression for null, and because if this was invoked and there were no listeners on the event, then it would throw an error. So basically, this is checking for null first. In other words, it'll only invoke the event if there are listeners on the event. So, let's see. So anyway, that does that. So let me go back to the game, and then finally, you have to call this somewhere, right? You have to, let me see where it is called. It's really simple to call it, but I'm still going to look for an example. Okay, that is my lovely wife texting me. Let's see what she wants. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll look into that later. Okay, so here it is. So here's how you invoke it. That basically invocation method you wrote, you invoke it. And so notice you're creating new instances of, there we go. So she brought me my dinner. That was very nice for her. I was actually thinking of pausing so I could go get it. Instead, I will go grab it and I will be back in 5 seconds. So if you're asking, is he really going to eat? And the answer is yes. I'm really going to eat. All right. So we want to call this when. So yeah. So we only want to. Actually, it's interesting. This might be something we want to pass. Okay, that's true. So I just realized there is something we want to pass, because that method it's a toggle basically on and off. So I do realize we probably want to add something to this. So here's how you can do this. So ReSharper is helpful. So I can put a property, whoops, and the property is going to be a bool. It is selected. Oops, what happened there? What am I doing? I hate it when I do stuff like this. doing? All right. Dadgummit. So I'm going to just... Then I'm going to do property. We know that's okay. Yeah. I know what I was trying to define the property in the constructor. Can't do that. Okay. So, but what I am going to do is, selected. No, wait. Is selected equals is selected. Okay. And then I'm going to get ReSharper to create this property for me. There we go. All right. Excellent. So now back to this game card. So where's that? Select, there we go. So I will do on game card selected. We'll do a new game card selected event args, and I will pass to it the selected value. All right. Pretty good. Okay. So that's how you create an event. So in this case, I can now subscribe to that event, and so yeah. So how do I do that? I could do it. A good way to do it will be in the constructor, because I'm already instantiating. The object graph has me the game creating players. Each player can have a game card, and so notice the constructor's doing that. So watch what I can do. I can do game card dot can't remember the name of it. Okay, yeah, game card selected plus equals. Okay, so notice quite nicely what ReSharper for me there. In this case, ReSharper said excuse me. ReSharper knew I was creating an event, so it named it, and it used the right convention to name it, and it actually created it for me too. So now I can, if e dot is selected, then the I'm looking for the name of my thought it was. Oh, yeah, okay. Interesting. So this won't work because what I don't want to do is so I actually need a real property here. Return create field. Good. I like the field to be right above the property. That's just me. Not everybody likes that, but I like it. And oops, I need to put okay, so now that still doesn't solve. We still want this here. So what we want here is we want to basically, I'm going to take this here. Okay, can increment round. I see I'd already started to kind of do this stuff before, but this is, anyway. Roll dice, and in this case, if and this is where it's nice to have tests, because I changed the logic for how this is working. So we'll run all of our tests and see if they still pass. If that'll find any issues with the changes I've made. That's kind of one of the advantages of it's one nice, not advantage, it's a nice thing about unit testing. So we'll run all those in a minute. If there's a problem with this logic, we'll find out quickly. In this case, though, the game card is selected. If it is selected, there's also another reason, oops, to set this property. All right, this might actually get our test working. Not sure, but let's see. And again, since, as I just said, we'll run all three tests. Okay, so this is still not working. Let's see if this code is being called, or if I forgot something. It is. So this is kind of fun. Let's step into this invocation. Notice I'm in the player. It went from game card to player. I guess pointing at my screen doesn't really help y'all, but if is selected, and in this case it is selected. Okay, yeah, no. So in this case, round completed. Now that's, oh, I know why. Okay, I've got a problem with my arrange. So in this case, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to not use this guy. And I'm just going to use current player. And then I'm going to, well, let me think about that. That's the first instance. So You know what might work? Let me see. This should work if I just do game dot current player. Sorry for eating. But when you're hungry, you're hungry. So there you go. All right. That might be all it needs. Let's try it. Compiling. Still not working. So let's debug it. Selected. Okay, let's step here. Okay, notice I stepped over to player. I'm an idiot. I'm setting that. Yeah. I'm not setting it to whatever is in here. I'm setting it to false. That'll make it fail every time. Yeah. In fact, I don't need to even do this if test because, yeah. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah. So I don't know if I just had some people join, but I'm getting notifications. That's kind of nice. Hello, everyone. You can, is the chat box working? Yeah, no one's chatted me up. So if you have any questions or want me to explain anything, just let me know. But I am going to eat because I'm kind of hungry. And I didn't eat before this, which I normally would have. Okay. I think that'll fix me up. Let's see if I'm right. Let's hit F6 to build. And then let's run this again. Yes, okay. So it passed. Now we can do another test, and that is when it's unselected, it should do the opposite. So in this case, very similar, but in this case, player has unselected the hand. Round not completed, which is my unit test. I just noticed this is not being used. I'm going to get rid of that. Yeah, player is the current player. I am selecting a hand. That's interesting. This is testing some other logic, but that's good. So in this case, I'm selecting the aces. And yeah, this is interesting. So what happens, what should happen is this. This should unselect the aces. Again, it's kind of a toggle, right? So now what's interesting about this is this should, in this case, is false. Because the round will not be completed, I think, at this point. So let's see if I'm right. Let's run all the tests. Good, that actually worked. So that means the logic there is pretty good. Now, here's what I was thinking about that was curious. What should happen, I'm going to do another unit test. I'm testing more logic here. I'm going to say selects new hand. The round should still be completed. So in this case, this is not going to operate as a toggle. I'm instead going to choose a different hand. Doesn't matter which one, just any other hand. And in this case, we want the round should still be completed. Excuse me, that's 6. Let's see if these tests, if it works. Good. So notice what happened here is this toggled it off, so the hand was no longer marked as completed. And this toggled it, it marked it as completed. In this case, I chose a different hand, so there is still a hand selected. So it is marked, the round is marked as completed. So anyway, yeah. Oh yeah, Jared. What? Let me look at yours. Yeah, Jared Mustard. Hey, I've been working on it. I basically started this project for Twitch, and I'm calling this the 5th episode. So I've been working on it about not really many in terms of hours. Someone asked me that once. I think I'm at about I want to say I'm at about 10 hours, and a lot of that was just kind of playing around. But so I'd say there's been about 10 hours worth of work put into it, and there is 10 hours worth of work, and I'd say I've been working on it maybe 5 weeks, something like that. But I haven't worked on it a lot. I've Twitch streamed about, I guess I'll be at, I don't know, 5-6 hours of Twitch streaming, and then I've done probably another 4 or 5 per what I just said, 4 or 5 hours offline. So anyway. Okay, good. So that took a little longer than the first. So if user applies current set of dice to a hand, user round is over. That's kind of resolved now. If user unapplies current set of dice to a hand, then user round is not over unless the user has rolled 3 times. So we almost did this one already. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 more tests and test kind of both of these conditions. We've already tested one, the unapplying, we just did that one. But what if they've unapplied and they've rolled 3 times? So in that case, the round should still be completed, even if okay. So I got several tests I'm going to do here. Okay. So in this case, we've done the unselection of a hand, selected hand, unselected a hand, and so actually this is closer. This gets me some of my steps already. And so I'm going to put that in there. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to do this. No hand selected, but three dice rolls. In that case, the round is completed. So I tell you what I'm going to do. In this case, I'm going to select a hand. Now let me think. Well, I could do several iterations of this. Actually, and by the way, you can pass in arguments and create one test and test for more than one condition using one test. To do that, you do, how do you do that? Test case, I think. And in this case, the test case has to match arguments you pass in here. So, you know, I'm just showing you this. So in this case, I could do, let's say I could do false, and then I could add another test case and do true. I'm gonna show you this. In this case, I'm not doing anything with cool stuff, but let's just say, here's what I'll do. Just demonstrate. So I'll do assert.isTrue cool stuff. So you can, again, I've got multiple setups here, and you can, if I had 5 parameters for this test, I could set up 5 different sets of parameters on each test case. So I'll just show you this. When I compile this, notice that in this case, it's given me 2 tests, right? And so in this case, we'll debug this just so you can see it. Ah, weird. So it didn't break. Why did that not break? Let's hit F6. And in this case, let me see what this test looks like. No hand selected, but dice rolls. Oh, I meant to name that 3 dice rolls. Okay, that time it works. So notice the first time it's running this false test. In this case, it's going to fail the test, which is what happened when I was demonstrating before, because this is looking for an assert of is true. Blah, blah, blah. I need to probably stop some of these breakpoints. So we've tested all this stuff. So notice the test failed because I passed in a false and it's looking for true. But that was just to demonstrate that you can do multiple test cases. I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of this. All right. So, okay, so no hands are selected, but 3 dice rolls. In this case, we're not selecting any. Wait, we've already done that test once, though, haven't we? Let's see. In this sense of user rolled less than 3 times. Okay, I got it. So really, yeah. Okay, it is a different test, so we'll just go with it. So in this case, I'm going to select a hand, and then I'm going to unselect the hand. So that will, that'll select the hand, and let me think about this. Unselect the hand. So at this point, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll the dice 3 times. So oh yeah, and this time I do need some dice. How did I do that before? Yeah. Okay. So, dice. Sorry for eating, sorry, but here we go. So, I'm going to roll the dice. Now, here's an interesting thing. If I roll the dice twice and no hand is selected and unselected, then this round should not be complete. Now, I'll probably add another test. Whoops. What am I doing? What did I do there? Is false. Ah! Sorry. One day I'll learn to type. So I've rolled twice. I've selected an unselected hand. So the round is not complete for that player. So this should pass. This test should pass. Let's see if it does. It did. So now watch this. If I roll 3 times, then this is true. The player's hand should be done. The round should be done for that player. And you know what? I could technically create 2 tests, and since I can pretty much copy and paste this, I probably will do that. But let's see if this works. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to run it. Excuse me. I'm going to build it, and then I'm going to try it again. Okay, good. So it didn't. It actually does not. That's interesting. The round was not completed. So it should have. I've had 3 dice rolls. Oh, there's probably a logic issue there where, yeah. I know what's going on. Yeah. So what's going on? I know what's going on. Let me show you this. This will show you what's going on. If I go here, and let's comment that out for now, and add them back right here. What I'm pretty sure is going to happen is this is going to pass. And did I hit F6? Yeah. Yeah, I did. And of course, that's a problem. It's a logic problem. This should work no matter what. So it's kind of good that we arranged the test that way the first time so that we could find this problem. So I'll get rid of this, and we know it works like that. And then I'm going to. So I think maybe get what's happening. So this third roll of the dice is setting the round completed to true. But then I'm selecting a hand and unselecting a hand. And this unselecting of a hand is passing, is it selected or not, back to the player. And then if it's not selected, then it's setting round completed equal to false. So that's our problem. So we need to work on this, that round completed is a property and it's interesting. Okay. In this case, this logic is inadequate. Okay, if the dice, let me think about that. See, we really want to, and we can have the same issue. Yeah, let me show you that. We can have the same issue where if we put the roll dice down here, yeah. So we need to make this so there's not a winner and or a loser. So here's what I'm going to do. This I'm going to combine this logic here. I'm going to actually create a method here called private void set round completed. And in this case, excuse me, I'm going to do So first thing, I'm going to test for two things. First is bool and hand is selected. Second thing is bool max roll max dice roll completed. And in this case, the round is completed if either of those are true. So in this case, I'm going to do, yeah. So in this case, I'm going to do hand is selected or max dice rolls completed. There we go. If either of those is true, then the round is completed. So now I want to do set round completed. In this case, E dot is selected. And then, oh, whoops, yeah. So, oh yeah. So in this case, yeah, okay. Actually, no, I can test for this condition. That's right. So, roll, dice roll count equals max roll count. And then, what I don't know is, so that one's easy. I can test for that. But in this case, how do I test? So I think what I'm gonna need a property on the here. Okay, yeah. For this, do this properly, I'm gonna need a property. Yeah. All right. And that's fine. It actually is kind of a logical property. It's private setter. And in this case, I'm going to change this. So all this thing is going to do is toggle this property. Oh, I don't know why I made that. There we go. So, all right, this will work. So, and then I can also have, similarly, I can have so it's the same thing. I'm going to do a private setter on this. Now, so You'll see why in a minute. But where's the roll dice? Yeah, there we go. So I want to do actually it'd be easier for me to just grab this. Alrighty. Getting kind of cold. Oh well. So I'm setting two properties. And now round completed is basically if either of them are true, returned max round or hand is, if either of those are true, then the round is completed. I don't know why it's, there we go. All right, let me save. Poo. I just did something. What did I do? F6. Okay, whoop. Oh. So, yeah, that's what I started to do, but that's doesn't work as well as this. F6. Good, now once again we changed some logic, but the great thing is of having a suite of tests, we can just run the tests and see if they all pass. So good. So let's go and I'm going to call this one 1, and then exact same test, but I'm going to call this one 2, and then I want to verify that it doesn't matter the order. We know before that this would have failed before I made those code changes. So now I'm just verifying that it still works and that my logic. F6. Good. So now it doesn't matter the order. You roll the dice, you select a hand, doesn't matter. And good. Let's see. Let me see if there's, in this case, I'm selecting and unselecting a hand. And this is kind of, whoops. What happened? What happened? I don't know what I did. What I meant to do is just clean up a little bit. Okay. If user unapplies current set of dice to a hand, then users round's not over unless the user has rolled 3 times. I think we've resolved that one. Okay, so this is our last one, and so in this case, this is a game test that the game has a round 2, but the game's round is not completed unless all the players' rounds are completed. So I'm going to go back to game tests, And I notice I've got a lot more game tests. Actually, just for kicks and giggles, let's run all the tests. I've got 92 now. Good. All the tests passed. That's great. So, I'm going to go to the bottom. Look at my test again. Game. All players, player rounds. Completed. Game round completed. And again, we do a range. As you know, I don't even know why I do this, but insert dot is true, true. Actually, let's do false. We want it to fail until I deal with it. All right, so the arrange is, let's grab, and see what I want in this I want to set up like this where there's more than one player. And this is very similar to what I want. There's two ways I can get a player's yeah, probably this is the easiest way. Current hand. So the hand in this case, I don't want to apply the hand. Applying the hand is something different. We want to select the hand. And what I want to do is get so I've got two instances of a player. In this case, I've got the new game, I'm passing it to players, and I want to select the hand. That will mark that player's round as completed. And I want to do the exact same thing. No, wait. So I want to grab the hand and I want to do okay. Yes, I'm going to put this right here. To me, it makes more sense. It follows the object graph a little better. So, player 2, what do you want? Oh yeah, because I'm not referencing that yet. So, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to do var hand 1 for the first player 1's hand. You know what? This is okay. Yeah, I'm actually incorrect. We do want to apply the hand. Okay, so yeah, so you don't want to merely select. We haven't talked about what it means to apply the hand, but to you basically with Yahtzee you throw a dice. And you may say, these are the dice I want, or it's the third throw of the dice, in which case your round is completed. But in either case, you have to apply the dice to one of your hands. And then when you apply the dice to one of the hands, your round is completed. In other words, it goes on to the next player. So there's a difference between selecting a hand and applying it. Selecting it basically means, I think I'm going to use these dice, but as we've shown, you can unselect it and choose a different set of dice, or like I can actually demonstrate this. So you can select a hand, but notice that this lock image basically means that's the one I want to apply. And when you do that, if I were to, when I click on that, this should basically say, hey, I'm done, roll completed, whatever, which we've been working on. But as soon as I roll again, it's going to apply that hand to the game card. So the bottom line is the game's round is completed when all the players have applied a hand to their game cards in the same round. See, that's another thing. Yeah, that's interesting. I think that the game is keeping track of the round and so forth. So in this case, we want hand 2. So, and oh yeah. This is technically so games, new game. So in this case, I think I've already added a game around current. I don't have a round completed property. Yes, sure don't. Alrighty then, so same thing where I don't want a player or whatever to be able to set is the round completed. This should be private set for that reason. Otherwise I'm not encapsulating it properly. I do not need a nullable bool. Now in this case, round completed. In this case the test should fail. Wait, save everything. So I'll go to game tests. This should definitely fail because there's no logic around how is the round completed. So in this case, the round is completed if whoops, I don't want to initialize from what I do want to. So I actually want to change this. And getter only. What I do? So now I've already done a little bit of, I think I've already done a little bit of logic on this where get next player, increment current round. Let's see. Round completed basically is this is what I'm looking for. Something similar to that. It's not, that's BK. So what? Okay. There's a way this can be done with a link expression too. In this case, I'm looking at all the hands. I don't want that. What I do want is, this is kind of a complicated link expression, so what I want is all the players. Okay. Okay, to the hands, first I want a count where the hand is applied equals 0. Okay. Now that's not correct logic. Okay, in this case, where the count of the hands where hand has been applied is equal to the current round. Yeah. Equal to this dot current round. So let me think about that. So this taking for all of the players. Okay, so all the players have game cards that hand that count. I think that's right. One way to tell is run the test. Compiling. Wow. Okay. Now, this might be a good place to break down what a link expression is. Yeah, I'll do that. But let's see if I can have this thing convert to link code. What does that mean? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's kind of, let's see, figure that out. All player count for each came where, yeah, if count plus plus return. Yeah, that kind of gives you an idea, a better idea of what it's doing, I might also be able to kind of deconstruct this one. First, I will remove this. No, that's not what I want. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to leave it like this for now for the simple reason that I want to. I'm pretty sure that this is correct logic, although what I want to do is I want to push this around, probably do an an arrange where I'm able to go to another round, which this I could test other things like next round, so forth. There we go. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm surprised that test worked. I'm glad it did, but I'm kind of surprised. So let's not do that. Let's do here return players.all. So let's see why that worked in this case. I meant to debug it. There we go. So now wait a second. Yes. So that's right. So that player has, okay. So yeah, I see what's going on. Yeah, that's correct. And the current round is 1. That's correct. So this is correct logic, yeah. So in this case, continue current round. So yeah. So what should happen is it should do it all again for the second player. So yeah, this tells me this is actually correct. This is where this logic is valid. So yeah, so if I continue, so the second player, okay, good. So I'm going to continue, and then yeah. So I'm going to convert that back to the other link expression. There we go. And it should also work in this case. And it did. Cool. That's pretty cool. And notice I've added these events in the game. The game's at the top level of the object graph. It needs to speak to the UI or an API or whatever. So those will come in handy. Let's see. The round is over for the game when the round is over for all users. So that's all well and good, but let's actually ramp this up a little bit. I'll play around. So the way I want to ramp this up is I want to. Okay, so first I want to make sure that I can increment the round for the game. So let's do that. Let's add that test. Game increment round increments the round. Okay, so I don't think I need this complicated a setup. I think all I need is a new game. I believe I cannot do this because I believe it will not let me increment the round because I've already put logic in there that says you can't increment the round until all the players. Actually, so I may need that more complicated. Ogren. Oh, I don't know how long ago you asked that. Sorry, I didn't see it. I'm having a good week. How about you? Can you hear me? Okay. So I believe I'm already testing. I think I've got to current, although I need to add unit tests. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually undo this. I'm going to get back to that more complicated arrange that I pasted in originally. Okay. So in this case, I got players. I could create a game instance. And in this case, yeah, I've applied the hand. Now this it's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. So let's do this. I'm gonna do a test. I'll probably add more of these tests. There was some logic I was adding without using tests. So hey, I wonder if I've actually already added this logic. Let's see. Game, see, can't hand applied, can increment around, but same player. So I've already done some of this. I did do some of this. Can get next player and round not incremented. Yeah. Okay, so I've already done some of this logic. I was about to re-implement something I've already done. So yeah. In fact, I wonder if I've already done this can increments the round thing. Yeah, I have already done this. Oh, whoops. No. All player rounds completed, game round completed. So yeah, I did some of this. All player rounds are completed. Then the game round is no. That's the one I just added. So okay. Okay, round. Okay, so this one I just added because that's yeah. So yeah. Okay, good. Ogren. Yeah, I don't use work. Unfortunately, we use Team Foundation server where I work for source control, which I hate, but I've tried to get them to use Git, but won't do it. But yeah, and I'm not an expert at Git, but Git's kind of awesome. If you look, we are using some Git in this project. So I do have under Team Explorer, I do have a Git set up, so that's why, for example, it'll show changes, and then I can, under changes, I can actually push these commits, but I won't do that till my session's over. But Git's awesome, and Visual Studio's Git integration is quite nice. It's a little simple, but okay. I can't remember if the game actually has a method. Yeah, I do have a method. Okay. All right, so let's do this one first. Let me see something. Okay, so I have not tested that method. That's good. All right, so so in this case, I've already tested that both of these players have applied a hand, so I ought to be able to increment the round. So I'm going to do game.increment current round. That's interesting. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So I ought to be at round 2. Current round equals 2. Wait, what's up with that? Oh, yeah, I always do that. I was a VB programmer, and there was no the equality operator and the setter were the same. So I still do that even along, I guess I've been doing C# for 7 years, but yeah, still get it confused. All right. Now in this case, I am going to just run this test because I'm pretty sure the other one will not. Okay, good. So back to this one. So in this case, so in this case, it's similar. I've added players, I've applied the hand. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to, let's see, what was I testing? All players' rounds are completed. And the game round is completed. Yeah. All right, that is very similar, but it is a different test. Build. All right, it worked. So in this case, we could do this one more time. Oh no, that's right. We haven't tested for okay, so in this case, it's not all play rounds completed. Game round not completed. So in this case, I've got 2 players, but only 2 of them have applied a hand. Yeah. Okay, and then I'm playing with only one of the hands. In this case, is false. Good. And now, that's pretty good actually. That's a pretty good test. So let's go back to my So now let's do one kind of big master test. If you noticed under that game, I've already got a property for game over. So let's test for that one. It won't be a perfect test because there's actually a lot more logic that goes in that usually. Yeah, this is going to be a longer range. It should work, but okay. Game tests. Okay, so game over. not all rounds completed. Game not over. So in this case, I've got a couple of players. I've incremented the current round, but I've only done it once. So in this case, it is true. It's false. It's false. Wow. I'm gonna have to quit here. I've been going at this for a while. Now, just because the setup on this is so long, I'm going to make sure that this test will fail. In a minute, I'm going to set up the real test, but just to make sure that this logic is right. Yeah, so it did fail. All right. So it takes the condition. Okay. So I tell you what, let's do game. The condition is one player all rounds completed, all rounds applied. All right, this will not be perfect because there's really a good bit of logic that's going to have to be around the incrementing to the next round and all that stuff. And I've done a little bit of that, but so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and for now, I probably won't do this one tonight again because the setup is so long on this test. So that, since I'm going to have a similar test, I just didn't want to delete all this stuff right this second. So in this case, it's one player. I can get rid of this, get rid of all this. I'll have one player by default in the default constructor for a game. And okay. In this case, I'm not going to even get a hand. I'm just going to do apply. See, this is where the logic's not. I'm going to increment the round, but again, there's a little bit of logic issue. I don't even think I'd have to. I think I could just choose, select, and apply the hand in this round. So that's some logic I'm gonna have to tie together, but I'm not gonna do that right now. So, and if I ever do that, add that logic, then this test might succeed when I'm done, but fail later. So for now, I'm not going to do that, but I'll probably have to come back to this test later. So I'm going to apply a hand, and another test, I need to add a test where you can't, let me do this. I'm not going to do it right now, but all right. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This is interesting. I think that in this case, this definitely should not pass. I'm just curious, and there's no way it'll pass, but hey, it's easy to test, so. Okay, so in this case, one player, all rounds completed, game over, run selected, test. Yeah, okay, good. But what happens if now, technically, a game can be over with no Yahtzee bonus. So, but just to move this question forward, so let me go back to what is. So, game over if. Yeah, I think this should work. There's a problem with it in that the Yahtzee bonus does not have to be applied for the game to be over, but let's see if this works. F6. Interesting. Now, if I go to Yahtzee bonus, let's see, this might. Okay, so that's actually a problem. lines dot where h h dot there. Technically, yeah, this should work. Now this test should pass. Okay. Cool. All right. Any questions from my 2 viewers? I'm done if you're not going, if you don't have any questions for me. All right. Y'all have a good evening.